West Asia is on the boil. Missiles and drones are wreaking havoc across the region. Even as US President Donald Trump has described the strikes on Iran as an excursion, the reality is unpleasant. He's being punished by the hidden cost of this war. If we look at West Asia, United States has had a considerable military presence there even before this war built up. Towards the west of Iran, it has multiple bases in countries such as Turkey, Jordan, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, as well as Qatar. The U.S. military prowess got a major boost by the arrival of the USS Abraham Lincoln and the USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier strikes groups. However, drone and missile strikes by Iran have come as a big jolt to the U.S., with at least 11 of its bases suffering damage to buildings and communication infrastructure. For instance, on the very first day of the war, Tehran targeted Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, which is, remember, the largest American base in the region. Apart from this, Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia and Ali Al Salem Air Base and Camp Buehring Base in Kuwait were all struck. Subsequently, other prominent U.S. bases like UAE's Al Dhafra, Jordan's Muwafaq, Salti, and U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet headquarters in Bahrain also came under attack. Now, this is not all. Iran has claimed to have destroyed multiple expensive radar and communication systems as well, such as the THAAD, stationed across West Asia. This comes as a setback, as U.S. was using them to track and intercept aerial threats. Now, how much is this war really costing American taxpayers? During a congressional briefing this week, the Trump administration officials reportedly disclosed that the U.S. spent at least $11.3 billion in the first 6 days of the war itself. Now, this is a conservative estimate at best because it does not include all expenses, such as the cost of operating and maintaining forces that are engaged in the war and damage sustained from the Iranian attacks. Earlier, remember, it had emerged that $5.6 billion was spent only on munitions during the first 2 days of the strikes. But this is not all. The human cost of this war for U.S. cannot be understated. Remember, while Pentagon revealed that 7 of its military personnel have died so far, the situation appears to be more grave. As per reports, more than 30 U.S. military members have been hospitalized after an attack on its Kuwaiti base. They sustained serious injuries, including traumatic brain injuries, shrapnel wounds, and burns. On record, the U.S. has acknowledged that about 140 of its military personnel have been injured, out of which 108 have already resumed duty. But beyond monetary and military losses, there is something much bigger that Pentagon has lost out on. It is the credibility factor. Discontent has been rife among its West Asian allies, who were allegedly not given adequate time to prepare for the torrent of Iranian drones and missiles unleashed on them. There's also perceived to be a sentiment among the Gulf nations that U.S. military hasn't defended them enough. In fact, even Europe has focused on bolstering its own defense rather than joining in the war effort. Spain has openly opposed this war and refused to allow America to use its bases to attack Iran. The country also, remember, has pulled out its ambassador from Israel in protest against this West Asia war. U.S. has also alienated Pakistan, which had forged close ties with Trump since last year. But after the assassination of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Pakistan has been rocked by massive anti-U.S. protests within its territory, in which over 23 people have been killed. Islamabad has been caught in a bind, as its ally Saudi Arabia is facing attacks from Iran. Meanwhile, is Trump planning to cancel the elections altogether that are coming up in November? Well, a passing comment made by him last year has resurfaced once again, raising serious concerns about the fate of American democracy. While meeting Zelensky in August 2025, remember, Trump had expressed agreement with the scenario that elections should not be held during wartime.
You say during the war you can't have elections. So let me just say 3.5 years from now, so you mean if we happen to be in a war with somebody, no more elections. Oh, that's good.
Now, this scenario is unfathomable for America, as elections were held here even during the Civil War, the World Wars, and the Vietnam War. But the threat is real, as U.S. President has publicly hinted at the possibility of doing away with the elections over his worry of losing these upcoming midterms. Now, even as Trump is seeking a face saver to exit this war at the earliest, it is apparent that America will take a long time to handle the repercussions of this war.